Hello, my name is Miranda Wright, and this is my presentation on serial killer characteristics for Sociology 230. So first of all, what is a serial killer? What differentiates the serial killer from the mass murderer is that serial killers have a cooling off period between their murders. And that just means whether it's like 6 hours or a month later, they're going to take some time between their killings, unlike mass murderers who kill a bunch of people all at once. So they are usually male, but not always. 1 in 6 serial killers are female, like Eileen Wernos down here. There is usually a sexual element in their crimes, but not always. There is, however, always some sort of like psychological gratification from the killings. The victims usually have a pattern, like they're the same sex, they're the same race, they all have the same hair color. There's just something that the serial killer is drawn to. They do share some other characteristics like troubled childhood. They'll display early warning signs like hurting or killing animals. They have a general lack of empathy. They're manipulative, and they have a very methodical killing style. Like they do it the same way every single time. So today I'm talking about Ed Kemper. Here are all his victims over here on the left. He killed 10 people between 64 and 73. His mother was extremely abusive, and he even said himself on multiple occasions that she was the motivation behind his murders. He was ostracized by her, and he was sent to live with his father, who also exiled him. He sent him to live with his grandparents on their rural farm. And because he had an issue with his mother and therefore all of women, he didn't like his grandmother's authoritarian personality. And one day he decided to shoot her. When his grandfather got home from the store, he decided to kill him so that he wouldn't have to see his wife, Ed's grandmother, dead. So you can see that here he showed, like in the weirdest way, some empathy towards his grandfather. So subsequently, he spent his formidable years from the ages of 15 to 21 in a mental hospital. He was able to manipulate the doctors into thinking that he was cured. They used him as an assistant where he had access to patient files, and he probably learned a great deal of how to commit crimes of the nature that he did. So he started killing female hitchhikers in 72, and then finally killed his mother and her friend in 73 before turning himself in. He was ultimately convicted of 8 counts of murder, and he is currently serving his time at California Medical Facility, which is a men's prison for those with medical issues. So the victim characteristics, obviously they are all female except for his grandfather, who he said he killed out of pity. They were all young hitchhikers. He chose to kill hitchhikers because he knew they would willingly get into a car with him. He also knew that it would be hard to link him to the crime since he didn't know them. They were all young and small and very easy to overpower. For whatever reason, whether it's, love or something else, he felt like he couldn't kill his mother. So he was projecting his fantasies of doing so onto the girls that he kidnapped. So after he finally decided to kill his mother, that was his grand finale. So he felt like he needed to turn himself in to stop. So the killer characteristics. Ed Kemper is extremely intelligent. He has an IQ of 145. To put that into perspective, President Barack Obama also has an IQ of 145. So Ed was diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic as a teenager, and like many serial killers, he had a very troubled childhood. His mother was extremely verbally abusive. She would lock him in the basement. She would withhold affection because she was afraid it would turn him gay. She frequently called him ugly, weird, all kinds of names. He also showed early warning signs of killing, by killing his cats growing up. So a lot of serial killers kill animals. He was notoriously manipulative. He hung out with cops and he was extremely well liked by them. He even later said in an interview that he felt cute hanging out with them because he knew that he was the perpetrator for their investigation. During his stay at the mental facility, the staff loved him. They used him as an assistant. Even here in this photo, you can see this is after his arrest that he's shown like smiling, like they're posing for a photo with a police officer. And that's really weird for someone who's killed 10 people. I don't think you'll see that with, like, Dylan Roof, the mass murderer. You won't see stuff like that. But it just showed how likable he can be and how serial killers can use their manipulative personalities to blend in with society. So some other considerations: is he a career criminal? Absolutely. He had a commitment to committing those crimes and he got better at it with time. What were the characteristics of his crime? He killed young women in the early 70s. His killings were premeditated, and he even did trial runs of picking up hitchhikers before actually killing anyone. Does he identify with his crimes? Yes, he does. He knew he was killing people. He knew the investigators were looking for him, and he bragged about it in prison interviews about how great of a murder he was and that he was only caught because he was done. So absolutely identifies with his crimes. He's proud of it. Does he have a commitment as a social role? I would say no. Kemper did not even talk about his crimes until he was caught, like maybe now, but at that time, no. Crimes with social roles usually are amongst those that are in criminal groups like gangs. Does he exhibit progression? Definitely, yes. He was basically studying how to get away with murder at the mental facility when he was a teenager and practiced picking up hitchhikers before killing them. Because he hung out with police, he knew how to dispose of a body. He knew the dental records were a great way to identify them, so he knew that he could make it harder to identify. He knew how to cover his tracks. So that was the end of my presentation on Ed Kemper. These are my citations. I use the .gov websites to get general info about the crimes, but I mostly listen to his tapes on the docuseries Co-Ed Killer, Mind of a Monster, I'm sorry, on Apple TV. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah.